The truth is that no one is going to come and save us. We are here to take responsibility for ourselves. When we bring these simple but profound practices into our daily lives, we take responsibility for how we show up in all of our interactions in life. We take responsibility for our nervous system, for our triggers and our wounds, not because what happens to us is our responsibility or our fault, but how we choose to move forward and interact in our life and our relationships is.
Welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast with me, Rebecca Wilson. An embodied experiential space for you to drop deep into the wealth of wisdom within your being and activate a fuller, richer you. I am a feminine awakener, thought leader, embodied business doula, sacred business midwife, healer, and all-round medicine woman. I am here to guide women deeper into their essence and power, to activate their life force, awaken pleasure, and support them to live an embodied life. I will help you birth your visions, dreams, creations, desires, and sacred business into the world from an easeful, embodied, and rooted place within. My work supports women to become more available for life, love, relationship, connection, creation, pleasure, and wealth. I will activate you into self-leadership and self-mastery to truly live an embodied and awakened life. Welcome on the journey, my love.
Hello, beautiful woman. Welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast. If you're new here, a full heart welcome to you, my love. And if you've been here for a while, welcome back. So today's episode is just really a sharing and a musing of what's been happening in my inner world as of late and the layers that I have been moving through inside of myself, just deepening into more connection and more understanding of myself and my inner world. And from that, really arriving into beginning to choose in a more embodied and clear way than ever before. There's always more, right? There's always another layer and another depth to arrive into. But for now, in this moment in time in my life of really choosing the unfolding of my life and becoming so intimately aware of the spaces inside of myself that I am making choices from. So this episode comes from an inspiration from a moment I had the other day. I was in the kitchen. I just had my breakfast and this really overwhelming sense of calm and presence and a beautifully overwhelming sense of calm and presence and stillness just kind of flooded over me, just washed over me. I could really feel like my heels just in the ground. And this sense of like, wow, I am so here in this moment. I am here in my body. My breath was just so deep and nourishing. I could feel the rise and fall of my belly. And it felt like I had arrived into embodying this felt sense of spaciousness within, of calm, of ease. like everything around me had slowed down. And I could hear myself say to myself, as I often do inside of my own being and mind, I have these little conversations. Oh, I'm so here. And I rested there for some moments, which felt like eternity, but in reality, they were split seconds, before I felt another energy almost urgently rise up. And this sense of, and the breath began to become more shallow. Now, in this moment, because of the journey that I have been on for nearly 2 decades and the many tools that I have in my toolbox and the practices that I know support me and all of the processes and practices that I've integrated so deeply and now share and teach other women, I was able to catch myself in this moment, because this moment, what was rising was a fear. It almost felt like a terror in my system, a panic of, oh, my breath, like I say, became shallow, and that space that I had been inhabiting became a little distant, not completely absent and not completely disconnected from it, because as I say, I'm in a particular stage of my journey within healing my body and my nervous system and being aware of myself and my patterns. But it still came. And I recognized, oof, what is this feeling? And there was this old part, this old energy in my nervous system, in my body, in that previous moment, in the spaciousness, had been able to soften, pause, relax, fully be in that experience. And there's this inner guard, I'd like to call this part, the inner guard or the inner protector, that almost felt so relaxed that it felt a little bit scared and a little bit dangerous. But where's the danger? What do we need to look out for next? Do we need to be on guard? Is it safe to be this present? Is it safe to be this relaxed, this embodied, this grounded? Is it safe to breathe this deep? I'm not sure. And this was what this part was communicating to me. Do I need to be on guard? Do I need to be on attack? Do I need to fight? Are we okay here? Is it safe for us to inhabit this space? And so as I've shared and spoken into, because I have cultivated relationship to many parts of myself, and this part being a part that I am in deep connection and relationship to, the inner protector, through my own healing and recovery journey, I have definitely befriended this part because she is very powerful and very potent and very useful in times where that energy is needed. But this is a part of myself that has been online and activated for significant amounts of time in my life because of the experiences that I've had, the pains, the sufferings, the traumas that I have endured and journeyed through. This part of me is well cultivated in searching for potential threat and danger in all experiences to be able to protect, ultimately, the vulnerable, soft and tender parts of me. And this part has done an amazing job at the times that it was needed. But in that moment, that part was not needed to come forward. I was safe, completely safe. But that part rose up from the depths of my nervous system because as I relaxed and softened that deeply into the present moment and my body and my breath, I began to create and carve some space inside of myself for this old part, this old memory in the nervous system, in the energy body, in my emotional being to rise, to say, it's not that safe to be here. We need to close. We need to shut down. We need to withdraw. We need to hide. Let's play dead now. That's how we'll survive. So within having this relationship cultivated with this part of myself, I was able to turn towards her and give her some love and care and listen to her worries, her fears, her anxieties, and reassure her that everything's okay. We're absolutely fine here. It's safe for us to relax, to soften, to be present, to be in our body, to inhabit this moment fully. Because of the work and the journey I have taken to cultivate this relationship with this part of me, she was able to soften and relax and find a state of ease in a relatively easeful and succinct way. That hasn't always been the case. This part of me has often come on guard and been activated and come online. She's taken over and hijacked my life with all good intentions for many minutes, many hours, many days, many months. I would even stretch to many years of my life. And it's through this journey of arriving back into relationship to all parts of ourselves, to recognizing the strategies and coping mechanisms that we created and have adopted throughout our life experiences, ultimately to keep us from feeling pain, separation, wounds, fear, feelings of unsafety. And these parts are needed when they are needed, but when they become the driver of the vehicle and not the passenger, we can end up slipping into patterns of behavior, projection, idea that keep us stuck in loops of energy, emotion, story, which play out inside our inner world, but then they also play out in our external world within our relationship to life, business, partnership, children, family, our relationship to creativity, to intimacy, to connection, to being available for the present moment. Because these parts on this particular part of myself would have always been on guard to protect. And protect would be to withdraw, to hide, to step out of relationship with life, others, self, to step away from connection, to stay safe. Through the journey of embodiment, healing, relaxing and softening my nervous system, I've been able to cultivate relationship and understanding of this part, to be in communication and dialogue. So when this part rises, it isn't a process of pushing her away, rejecting her or abandoning her, making her wrong, but rather bringing her closer and asking her what's happening here that's making you feel what you're feeling. And maybe this you can resonate with too. Maybe there's a part of you. Maybe it's the similar part, the same part that's on attack or defense, that feels that it needs to defend or protect. And maybe it's a different part. Maybe you can feel that part of you now, whispering to you, speaking to you, saying, yes, we feel like this too. I welcome you and urge you to welcome that part in right now. If you have the space in this moment to take a deep breath into that part and really listen to what she's sharing with you. What is it that's trying to be communicated? Within my teachings and the spaces that I offer women, we often reference to this as a sacred pause. There is so much complexity in life. There is so much complexity in being a human. There's so much complexity of being a human in life, in relationship to yourself, your family, your partner, your children, your friends, your colleagues, all of the interactions you have, day-to-day experiences. There are many parts of life that pull on us, our energy, our thoughts, our emotions. It is a complex experience. Sometimes when we are on the journey of healing and recovering parts of ourselves, we try to transfer that complexity into the modalities of healing, of self-connection. What I love to do is to unload all of that complexity, because it's complex enough being a human. So let's make the journey of coming back into connection to ourselves more simple, which allows it to be more profound and more effective. So within that, something that I guide women to explore and to rediscover is this sacred pause. We are only able to find the sacred pause when we have enough space to allow ourselves to breathe, to be, and to pause, which is why there's a real essence in my work and my teachings around carving and cultivating space, time to just be, to spend that time in nature or resting or listening to a practice or moving your body, because these are the moments that we begin to cultivate presence and awareness and relationship back into ourselves and all parts of ourselves. So the sacred pause offers us an opportunity to pivot, to reframe the experience or the re-experience we are having in the moment. And within the frame of my experience I have just shared, that old part could have easily taken over that experience, made many stories up around my environment, around what was happening, my ego trying to keep me safe, guarded, protected, maybe projecting it outside, making it mean something about somebody else in my life. Through the practice of presencing, embodiment, body connection, cultivating relationship with self, grounding into the root and the womb, we are able to bring this practice of sacred pause in. And it's not too fancy. It doesn't take up too much space or time. It is simply allowing ourselves to take a breath in and a sigh out. Sometimes the shift happens in one solo breath. And sometimes we may need to take that breath a few times to really arrive into the present moment with our body and all of the sensations that are alive. It's from here that we open up enough space. And sometimes that is a microsecond of differentiation or a different thought or possibility that can arrive, that can redirect those pathways of emotion and energy and story. And it's there in those moments that the repatterning of our inner system can arrive. And it's in those moments where we can come back into ourselves and ask, how am I feeling? What's happening in my body? Why am I feeling this? What has happened to awaken or ignite this sensation inside? When was the first time I felt like this? Is this feeling true for me in this moment, in this experience? Or is it an old sensation that's rising? What is the story I am attaching to this? If none of that was true, what might be possible? What could be true now? These points of inquiry are so powerful in allowing us that moment of pause, the sacred pause, to shift, to reorient and redirect ourselves to the present moment. And this is what allows us to support a repatterning of our inner world, our systems, our thoughts and beliefs and stories. It's what allows us to be present with ourselves. And this is the journey of taking full responsibility for ourselves. The truth is that no one is going to come and save us. We are here to take responsibility for ourselves. When we bring these simple but profound practices into our daily lives, we take responsibility for how we show up in all of our interactions in life. We take responsibility for our nervous system, for our triggers and our wounds, not because what happens to us is our responsibility or our fault, but how we choose to move forward and interact in our life and our relationships is. This is where sovereignty and true power exists, in the ability to take that radical responsibility for ourselves, for how we're feeling in every moment, for shifting from out of old patternings and stories inside of the body into the present moment. This is also how we become more available for our life, our business, creations, children, families, partnerships, friendships. And all we need to do is take responsibility for ourselves. We don't need to do this process for anybody else or take responsibility for them. The truest sovereignty and the truest power, and therefore the deepest healing and recovery and integration, truly lives in radical responsibility of self. It also allows us to allow others to be responsible for themselves, which in turn co-creates a beautiful energy within all relationships. So I welcome you in those moments where life feels a little constricted, tight, or old parts are seemingly wanting to rise from the depths within, to prove a story or a narrative right, to project an old experience onto the present moment, that you welcome the sacred pause in. A breath, a sigh, an inquiry within, connecting to these parts that are wanting to communicate with you. Turn towards them, my love. Listen to them. They have such powerful wisdom to share with you. It's from this place of being in relationship to all of these parts that we truly are able to embody our wholeness and to live in the present moment, in presence, in connection, into that ease and flow state where we're able to truly be here now. And that is true freedom and liberation. That is absolute embodiment of sovereignty and power. Thank you for being here and for listening and sharing this journey together. I'd love to hear from you. If this has resonated with you in some way, connect with me on Instagram at Rebecca_Wilson_. Let me know how the sacred pause is for you, your journey with it, if it supports you in your life in some way. If you know of a dear woman or sister, friend in your life that would benefit from receiving this podcast and listening to this conversation, I welcome you to share it. Share the gift. Sending deep waves of love to you in your heart, to the reconnection to all parts of the self, so that we may all live embodied, rooted, centered in ourselves, taking full responsibility to be able to ground into our sovereignty and our power. These are the shifts within our own beings that shift the collective and the world. May we all rise together, sending so much love. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you loved this musing and sharing, I would love for you to share this episode far and wide.
You can arrive into all of my offerings at rebecca-wilson.com. Links to dive deeper with me are in the episode notes. Remember, my love, you are here to be the fullest, most potent, powerful, embodied version of you. I am here to guide you into that.
Hey love, I'm dropping in here to welcome you to join us in our online community membership, The Village. I created this space for women to gather, to return to themselves, to deepen the connection and the relationship with self, whilst held in a community of like-minded women walking the journey and the path of their own awakening.